Hello, my Juicy co-creators, Lilly here. I'm on Big Island in beautiful Hawaii on the Juicy Living Tour, 12 months tour around the US and Canada, and now in Hawaii with the dolphins and one dolphin sitting next to me. Joan Ocean is here. Hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, Lilu. Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. The dolphins love you, of course.
This was a transformational moment here, and I want to thank you for bringing humans with dolphins, because there's something really, really special. You wrote many years ago, Dolphin Connection. You were one of the pioneer in the field, if not the pioneer. I feel like I'm sitting next to the Jean-Jacques Cousteau of dolphins. You love them so dearly, and your love shows when you're in your work, when you're in your element. There's just pure magic that happens around you. There's this field that just expands and expands and expands. So thank you for everything that you're doing, for devoting your life to them and this connection.
You're so welcome. It's called joy, I think, that field that expands. What else can you experience when you're with them? They're so happy, they're so joyful, and once we're with them, we feel the same way. So I love it, love it. And here in Hawaii, it's been ideal because they're here year-round, the Hawaiian spinner dolphins, and we play with them every day. And they have really said that by playing is where you learn a lot, that they will bring us leaves, they'll make bubbles, they'll play games diving with us, weaving in and out, and at the same time, they're bringing us information and sonaring us in a way that changes us physically and emotionally and intellectually and, of course, spiritually.
Tell us some of the, this is so juicy. Tell us some of the characteristics of dolphins, because I really feel they're showing us a way. They're bringing us to unity consciousness, really, what a lot of people are talking about, but they're living it. There's something really special. Can you tell us about the different characteristics of dolphin that would mirror that?
Yeah, because you're exactly right about that. It's their example that's so powerful. You know, they live in harmony with each other, in a pod, in a family, and they really love each other, it's obvious. And they live in harmony with nature, with the ocean and everything around them. And yet they live a simple life. You know, they're joyful and they don't need things. They're not materialistic. And they're very healthy, they're active, they're making love all the time. They're also communicating. They're communicating with sonar and also with sounds. And they sonar us and do healing and balancing work. So just like they do with each other, like when they're together, they're always sonaring each other and balancing energies, and they do that same thing with us. So like a couple of days ago when we were out there with them, or the past few days, 150 dolphins came swimming toward us, and we're in the ocean, and every one of them is sonaring us, sonaring you and me and every person to get to know us, to see who we are, to read our frequency, and to feel our heart and know everything they need to know about us. And in the process, they're saying, oh, there's a little block there, and we'll take care of that, diffuse that. So people come away feeling so blissful and so happy. They just want to spend as much time as possible with them. So, and then for me, what keeps me here, well, I've been with them in Hawaii for 23 years now. It's the longest I've ever lived any place. And I really met them first with Dr. John Lilly 33 years ago, before I realized I'd be doing this work and play. And what I'm so interested in that keeps me going and going and going is their multidimensional abilities. They're not linear. They're not into three-dimensional reality. Mm-hmm. They don't have belief systems and teachings and education that has limited their thinking. Mm-hmm. They're very, very open to all different beings, all different realities, and different places in the ocean, in the air, and in the sky. So people, even on land, are having communications from them. And that's very possible when you're into the unity consciousness, when you know that everything is there and you can communicate with all of it at any time.
So it means even if people are not here in Hawaii, they can communicate and connect to this consciousness that they represent.
Yes, and I get a lot of questions about that. People say they can't come to the ocean, or like me, they don't know how to swim. I didn't used to know how to swim.
Really? You, the siren? Oh my God.
I only learned when I was in my 40s, if I can say that, how to swim. So, and the dolphins made me do it. I couldn't resist them. I wanted to be with them. But people can communicate with them through meditation. And of course, in dream time, a lot of people are dreaming about dolphins now. And then a lot of symbols and signs that come up in people's lives. People are being so called by the dolphins all over the world. It's phenomenal, really. I mean, I don't even bring the subject up sometimes if I'm on an airplane or if I want to be in a quiet space. I don't dare say the word dolphin because everyone around me will want to talk about them. It's incredible and it's wonderful that people have such an interest. So there are many ways they are in contact with us. And right in the beginning, the dolphins said that we would know, we as humans would know when it was time for the changes to occur on the planet. And they said at that time, you will see dolphins coming close to shore, leaping in the air, tempting you out into the ocean. You'll see the whales traveling into rivers and going into places they've never been before. And that's been happening too. The Sacramento River in the States, the Thames River in England, and in Japan even, the whales have been appearing in places where they were never before. And so the meaning of that is that it's time now for everyone to come forward, tell what you know, be fully in your truth and in your beauty and in your highest knowledge, and share it with the world, and don't hold back any longer. And the dolphins are here to assist us, and they're happy to do that. They're on their spiritual path as well, and they are evolving as they are having this time here on planet Earth, but they're also helping us and helping the Earth as they're helping themselves. So
we can just communicate. We could just talk to them and say, "Please, dolphin, guide us," like a guide or like an angel or like.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I like to go into a quiet meditation and have nice music, soft music in the background, be in a place where I'm undisturbed, and then when I get into this quiet space internally, I can just call on them. And if I have a question, I ask them what I'd like to know, and then I wait and listen and receive the answer back. And sometimes it comes as images. When I'm swimming in the ocean with them, they'll send me acoustic images. That's pictures made from sound. And they will explain to me that this is the way you can communicate, and of course by using telepathy.
Yeah.
So telepathy is really important to them. They demonstrate it to me, like they'll say something such as the people are over there on that boat, and then if it was a linear world, I would say, well, what boat? What do they look like? There's a lot of boats out there, and I'd have a lot of questions, and we'd have question and answer back and forth. But in the realms of telepathy, when they send you information, you get the entire image. You get the picture, the people, the feelings, the sounds, sometimes even the past and history of a subject, all at one time. So it's so powerful to communicate with them. And that's also the way that I communicate with extraterrestrials and star people. The same thing is with the telepathy. So it's a good thing to practice, and when I do seminars, that's something we do a lot of. Because some people say, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good at that, I can't visualize, I can't receive information. But everybody can. You really, really can.
Which particular beings are you in contact with or in touch with and receive message from?
Well, besides the dolphins and whales, yes, well, the Arcturians are my main guides and friends. And then the Andromedans, about 5 years ago when I was doing a seminar here, the Andromedans showed up, a group of them, and surrounded our group. Now, those that were clairvoyant could see them very clearly, and a lot of us drew pictures of what they looked like and saw them all in the same way. And they were here communicating with us for that entire seminar, to the point it was so powerful that some people canceled their flights to go home and stayed for an extra week just to remain with the Andromedans. So they've been very present with us lately, and often right in the clouds above the ranch here. And they do a lot of healing with people, because we have some experiences that happen here at the ranch. People come and they have just little illnesses, or maybe they've just had an operation and they're still recovering. They sleep here, and if they ask for assistance, in the morning they wake up and they're dancing around the house. They're so happy. They feel totally healed. This huge change has come over them just overnight. So there are many things happening. So that's the Arcturians, the Andromedans, and the Pleiadians for so many of us. Mm-hmm. We are so connected to the Pleiades. Yeah. You know, we just take it for granted even. And they're always helping people with the arts, with music and dancing. And they're a civilization that's not too many 100 years beyond our own. Of course, changes happen a lot in only 100 years, but they can relate to us very well. So they're a wonderful one to be in contact with. And my first contacts were really with the Syrians from Sirius B, actually. I was in contact with a group called the Nine. There's a number of different groups that call themselves that now, but this was a group that just said, we are as many as one or as many as nine. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of gave them the name of the Nine. But a lot of the ET civilizations don't really have names. You know, they're not naming themselves or saying, I'm from this planet or that planet. Often here at the ranch, where we do ET contact meditations every month with the whole Dolphinville community, we have
mosquitoes.
Often, yeah. Uh-oh. They're giving you little kisses. Yeah. Very juicy. Yeah. Well, what was I saying? Oh, yeah.
Dolphinville.
Dolphinville. But
you come together once a month.
Right. And we meet with the extraterrestrials here in the same place, so that they will know where to find us if they want us. And they really are in telepathic contact. Sometimes we see ships, sometimes we see plasma ships, but most of that happens in the ocean here. We have a lot of sightings in the ocean. Mm-hmm. And because we spend so much time out there, often 5 hours a day, with the dolphins, and the dolphins will take us places. I'll say sometimes when the whales are here, I'll say, take me to the whales. And they do. They'll swim us to the whales. You can see them deep, deep below. But also they'll take us to other unusual phenomena in the water. So we will see lights underneath us, and we will see big objects that are hovering down there and then start to move around. So very much in the beginning, the dolphins told me that there are underwater vehicles in the oceans of the world, and that they are in contact with them. I don't know if I put that in my books, because I thought, well, I'm going to wait on that one and get corroboration and learn more about that first. But
and the timing is good to speak about that now.
Yes.
You feel support?
Yes. And it's very important, and many people have witnessed it now too, and there's proof of it, things such as that. So the dolphins are, evidently, these are underwater star beings whose ships can come out of the water or be underwater, and they travel all around the globe. And these are very loving, very caring, altruistic star beings, ocean beings, extraterrestrials. And the dolphins have said they actually go inside the ships, that there is a holding room and they can fly into it and be inside the ship in giant pools there. And I've seen the pictures of it. When they're there, then they're sending information from their sonar, things that they have picked up, to the sensors and receivers in the extraterrestrial ships. And they're sending information about the ocean, the quality of the water, about the human beings, the level of our spiritual growth. So many pieces of information that they are transmitting that they pick up from us when they swim with us. So they have a very good relationship, a very beautiful one. And then those dolphins will leave the ship and come back out. And I was just talking with some of my friends here, and sometimes we see an entirely new group of dolphins. Now, again, I've been swimming with the same dolphins here for 23 years, and I know many, many of them by their markings. They have a lot of scars on their body, cookie-cutter shark bites, birthmarks, different damaged fins, so we know them. And every so often we'll come upon a pod that is completely clean, has no marks at all. It's like they're brand new dolphins, but they're adults and children and the entire families. And we'll look at each other, all of us people, swimmers, and say, where did they come from? So we even feel sometimes they're switching out other dolphins and new ones are coming to visit and then perhaps going back on their ships. And even as I say that, a part of me goes, well, that sounds so incredible. But we have a lot of corroboration. One day we were in the water and there was this huge plasma ship underwater. It was a great big white pulsing vehicle about as big as a football field. So at first I thought, maybe it's just algae bloom, or right away your rational mind clicks in and you want to describe it and explain it in some rational way. But it was moving around. You could tell that it had direction and that it was being moved around in the ocean with intention. It wasn't just floating. And when the dolphins swam inside of it, we couldn't hear them anymore. And then we dove into it or swam into it, and then we could hear the dolphins inside. But you couldn't hear them when you came outside. And when the plasma ship came really up close to the surface of the water, and I was in the water and my head was above water and I couldn't see my body disappeared. So it was very much a multidimensional experience.
No kidding.
Yeah, and we were so excited. So we had a boatload of people, and I was yelling, come over here, come over here. So the captain and the captain's wife are on board, and they don't know too much about these things, and they're saying, well, what do you see? What do you see? So I had to tell. So I said, it's a ship. It's a ship. Tell everyone to come over here and see the ship. And they're going, a what? I said, it's a ship. So, and everyone came over. Everyone had the experience. The boat captain, who's lived on this island for 25 years, could not place what else it could be. It was nothing organic that he knew of. And we took pictures of it. We have pictures of us swimming in and out. And it was just a beautiful, when you went inside, it was totally peaceful. The frequency in there was blissful. You just wanted to stay in there as long as you could. And sometimes it went down deep, so we'd dive into it and stay in there as long as we could, but we still had to come up for air. So we have many here at the bay where I swim all the time. Sometimes we were meditating at night, and we have our eyes closed, and then we look out at the bay, opening our eyes, and there, just beneath the surface, you'll see a large round disc with a lot of colorful lights going round and round it of a big ship that's there. So sometimes it seems like they even reveal themselves to us, to those of us who are aware of them and open to that experience. We've had ones in the sky, too. We've had some above us, and then we remote view them and make contact and find out who they are, and it's an interesting experience. One time at one of the bays, I was on a boat with a group of people, and this huge gray, it was a kind of not that interesting, big round ship above us in the sky. And then the Navy airplane took off from the airport and started circling underneath this big ship. And from the ship being so close to the water, the waves started to get bigger and bigger waves, and the whales started leaping, and the dolphins started jumping, and the wind came up really strong. The captain on our boat that day got worried, and he said, we've got to get out of here, and he drove the boat away, and we're all remote viewing as we go, saying, thank you for being here. So it's incredible living here. It's got to be to keep me here all these years. There's so much going on.
Well, it's interesting that the dolphins and the ETs appear here. What's here in Big Island? What's so special?
Well, I mean, the Hawaiian Islands in general are a body of land that's further from any other land than any other pieces of land. They're really out here in the middle of the Pacific. So the ships can come in quite low. Sometimes they affect the electrical system. Sometimes we have blackouts here. Mostly they can keep that from happening nowadays. But it's a place where they can be quite safe in coming in without scaring people. And of course, they often have a cloud cover, which they can do very easily. They certainly can move the clouds around the ship or create an effect coming from the ship itself that as a cloud cover, and what researchers and scientists will call lenticular clouds. And lenticular clouds are often formed around mountains, the top of mountains, especially volcanic mountains. So you'll see these disks above mountains all over the world, really. And people will say, oh, it's a lenticular cloud, and they won't give it a second look. But here, it's very interesting because these lenticular clouds will start to move and go places that are not around the mountain. They'll be over the ocean or over this house or in different locations. I have on my website a picture of a lenticular cloud that my friend and photographer Lisa Denning took, and she took 12 pictures as this cloud lifted off the ship, and the ship is underneath it. So you can see that on my other website called etfriends.com. And it's just, she was great. She was just driving from Kona to Hilo across the island, and there it was. And for some reason, she felt drawn to photograph that cloud. And as she did, it lifted off the cloud cover and let her see what was underneath, because they knew she was just tuning in and aware of it. So yeah, we have many experiences, and of course I travel around the world to be with dolphins and whales, so we've had experiences in other locations as well.
I still want to come to Tahiti now, because you're doing something with whales and dolphins there in September?
Yes, that's right. And every September we go there. We actually go to a small remote island. We fly into Papeete in Tahiti, but then we fly on to a small remote island, and we're the only group there. And we're very careful and gentle with the whales. It's the humpback whales coming up from Antarctica and giving birth in the warm waters there. And we go out in small boats, the local fishermen, the Tahitian people, such gentle-hearted people, bring us there to the whales, and then we go in the water and we actually stay together, often holding hands, because it's interesting that some people they're called by the whales. They really want to be with the whales. But then when they see how big the whales are, they're having second thoughts. They go, oh. So then they're quite happy at that point if we hold hands, at least at first. And interacting with whales is different than the dolphins, because the dolphins are moving always and diving and playing and spinning, where whales will often come over and stop. And they'll just be quiet there and look in your eye with the most profound feeling of understanding you, wisdom, knowledge, and love that you've ever experienced in your entire life. And so they will come and stop there, and it seems when we're in one line like that, and there's like 10 of us, they're more likely to come close as compared to if you had a person on one side of them, behind them, all around them. I find that's not too good. You know, they feel better if you're making yourself into a whale, a big whale. And so they come right over and they bring the babies, which always touches our heart, because you think, oh, they'll be protective of the babies. They won't want the babies around us. Not at all. In fact, like last September, we were in this water only 35, 40 feet deep, so shallow where they are. And the baby was on the far side of the mother, and we're all just floating, watching, spellbound. And as we're watching, the mother very gently with the top of her head put her head under the baby, lifted the baby up, and brought her over on our side of her so that we could have a really good look at the baby and be close to the baby as we could be. So they're so wise, and they so understand how much they are helping us in our transformation and evolution, just bringing up more and more love. And I think I told you that story of that one man who's come with us on that trip who he was paralyzed. He is paralyzed from the waist down. He's from the Netherlands. And he often comes on trips with us because, as you can imagine, it feels wonderful for him to be in the ocean, to be free, to be able to float and not have to be in a wheelchair. And he loves the dolphins and whales so much.
And they love him, huh? I saw the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. And so he went in the water, and we were all there, and I'm always watching over everyone, making sure everyone's okay. And I put my head up to see if all the swimmers were okay, and I could count heads. Everyone was there. And then I see him, my friend, Franz, and he's moving really fast through the water. And how can he do that? He doesn't have any leg power, to move himself. And I couldn't figure it out. And I looked under, and my friend Lisa, again, was able to get photographs. This baby whale had come up next to him, making sure it was okay, getting seeing the man's happiness to see a whale, and slowly came up behind his knees and just put the rounded edge, the back edge of the tail that has no barnacles or anything, right against his knees as they were hanging down in the water, and started to push him forward very gently. And the whale was so sensitive, kept him above water so that he could still breathe out of his snorkel, and stayed right up on the surface, moving him along so fast. I mean, relatively fast. And Franz was just so happy. If you ever saw his face, I have it on my website, grinning from ear to ear with joy from that experience. So, they know us so well, they're so sensitive, and it's a pleasure to be with them, and we learn so much from them. I want to do everything they're doing. I want to learn to leap out of the water, spin in the air. The dolphins have said, well, we live in the water, we leap up and spin in the air. Spinning is good for your chakras, good for your, just spinning and spiraling is very good for higher consciousness. But they said, you live in the air, so you should dive down and spin in the water instead. And so that's what we do. We just turn upside down and spin round and round and round and round, and know that it's healthy for us. So they are demonstrating a lot of things that we can do, and we are happy to copy them as best we can, learn from them. And they have pointed out that our bodies, our physiology, our neurology is very similar to theirs, and we have the ability to access all the things that they're accessing as well.
Yeah. So how do you deal with all the problems around the whales and the dolphins that exist on the planet? Doesn't that hurt you, or you just go beyond that? And
well, I was involved in a lawsuit versus the U.S. Navy, which is so not like me. I mean, I'm not really someone who believes in suing. I don't believe in being aggressive in any way and reacting like that. I always look for the spiritual path to work things out. And of course we do that. We send lots of love to the whales and to all the people. But when I see the whales being killed by the low-frequency active sonar and the mid-frequency sonar that the Navy was deploying, and always it seemed in sanctuaries where the whales are. I don't understand why they have to practice it there, and sometimes it seems like they're targeting the whales. And the whales, when they die, they just sink to the bottom. So it's not as though you'll see all the carcasses floating on the surface. So in the 9th District Court in San Francisco, we had a woman judge who was very understanding of our desire to save the whales and to stop the sonar from targeting the whales. And she always ruled in our favor and put a holding order on the Navy and made them come up with another environmental impact statement. But then eventually the Navy took it to the Supreme Court, and they're a different judge, and that judge ruled in the favor of the Navy. Encourage, Natural Resources Defense Council. Excellent. They're doing excellent work to save many, many animals on the planet. And anyone that you know of that's doing work to help the dolphins and whales, if you can donate or volunteer or just tell your friends and be educated yourself. It's important. And at the same time, we want to remain in that place of higher consciousness. So it's quite a teaching, a learning, to be able to be in the world, to be political, which was the last thing in Dolphinville that we wanted. You know, we came to Hawaii to be in this setting close to nature and live a life in harmony with each other and nature and the wildlife. But it's a time right now to take action and still be in your calmness, your peacefulness, and your spiritual being while you're out there doing your work.
Well, this was beautiful, and thank you again for all your work.
Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Thank you. The dolphins just adored her, everyone. You can imagine. They said, oh my gosh, she's so juicy, just like we are. Come swim, come swim.
I had a big resonant effect when I saw them first, and they were swimming under the boat, and I start crying, and they're like, we're all doing the same work, we're all doing the frequency, because I was putting them up there, and they're like, no, we're all doing this work together.
I remember you told me that you were actually shaking and having a reaction. You hadn't even been in the water with them yet, and you could feel them. Yeah. Meant to be.
Oh, I love them. I'll be back in July for a few days from Maui.
Right. Okay. Yep, we'll be out there swimming again.
We send you much love, my beautiful co-creators. Loving, beautiful dolphin energy right here to you right now. Thank you so much. We love you. Bye. Hello, my Juicy Co-Creators, Lilly here. I'm on Big Island in beautiful Hawaii on the Juicy Living Tour, 12 months tour around the US and Canada, and now in Hawaii with the dolphins and one dolphin sitting next to me. Joan Ocean is here. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Lilu. Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. The dolphins love you, of course.
This was a transformational moment here, and I want to thank you for bringing humans with dolphins, because there's something really, really special. You wrote many years ago, Dolphin Connection. You were one of the pioneer in the field, if not the pioneer. I feel like I'm sitting next to the Jean-Jacques Cousteau of dolphins. You love them so dearly, and your love shows when you're in your work, when you're in your element. There's just pure consciousness, really, what a lot of people are talking about, but they're living it. There's something really special. Can you tell us about the different characteristics of dolphin that would mirror that?
Because you're exactly right about that. It's their example that's so powerful. You know, they live in harmony with each other, in a pod, in a family, and they really love each other, it's obvious. And they live in harmony with nature, with the ocean and everything around them. And yet they live a simple life. You know, they're joyful and they don't need things. They're not materialistic. And they're very healthy, they're active, they're making love all the time. They're also communicating. They're communicating with sonar and also with sounds. And they sonar us and do healing and balancing work. So just like they do with each other, like when they're together, they're always sonaring each other and balancing energies, and they do that same thing with us. So like a couple of days ago, dimensional abilities. They're not linear. They're not into three-dimensional reality. Mm-hmm. They don't have belief systems and teachings and education that has limited their thinking. Mm-hmm. They're very, very open to all different beings, all different realities, and different places in the ocean in the air and in the sky. So people, even on land, are having communications from them. And that's very possible when you're into the unity consciousness, when you know that everything is there and you can communicate with all of it at any time.
So it means even if people are not here in Hawaii, they can communicate and connect to this consciousness that they represent.
Yes, and I get a lot of questions about that. People say they can't come to the ocean, or like me, they don't know how to swim. I didn't used to know how to swim.
Really? You, the siren? Oh my God.
I only learned when I was in my 40s, if I can say that, how to swim. So
magic that happens around you. There's this field that just expands and expands and expands. So thank you for everything that you're doing, for devoting your life to them and this connection.
You're so welcome. It's called joy, I think, that field that expands. What else can you experience when you're with them? They're so happy, they're so joyful. And once we're with them, we feel the same way. So I love it, love it. And here in Hawaii, it's been ideal because they're here year-round, the Hawaiian spinner dolphins, and we play with them every day. And they have really said that by playing is where you learn a lot, that they will bring us leaves, they'll make bubbles, they'll play games diving with us, weaving in and out, and at the same time, they're bringing us information and sonaring us in a way that changes us physically and emotionally and intellectually and, of course, spiritually.
Tell us some of the, this is so juicy, tell us some of the characteristics of dolphins, because I really feel they're showing us a way, they're bringing us to unity.
Oh, when we were out there with them, or the past few days, 150 dolphins came swimming toward us, and we're in the ocean, and every one of them is sonaring us, sonaring you and me and every person to get to know us, to see who we are, to read our frequency, and to feel our heart and know everything they need to know about us. And in the process, they're saying, oh, there's a little block there, and we'll take care of that, diffuse that. So people come away feeling so blissful and so happy. They just want to spend as much time as possible with them. So, and then for me, what keeps me here, well, I've been with them in Hawaii for 23 years now. It's the longest I've ever lived any place. And I really met them first with Dr. John Lilly 33 years ago, before I realized I'd be doing this work and play. And what I'm so interested in that keeps me going and going and going is their multi